What's up everyone, Smyers here. So today I want to show you how to make the lead to Upside Down by Meduza. Now first, I want to talk about how you can make this sound using a sample or a similar sound. I've heard Meduza, I feel like they're doing this in a couple of their most recent releases, especially in Everything You Have Done. That's another song they released recently. And I have a video on that. I did a short video on that. I'll put a link down below so you can watch that and check that out. But they basically used this sound in that song as a bass. And even in this Upside Down lead, it's almost like a bass sound that they're using as a lead. If you're a Swedish House Mafia fan, then you probably have heard this sound being used in One. And what you do is you basically just take a kick sample. So I have that kick sample. It's just a basic house sample. And I'm going to just drag that into my sampler. So right now, if I just play this on my keyboard, it's just going to play that kick once. So I'm going to turn on the sustain mode, and then I'm going to adjust this loop amount. So you can see where it says start and loop end. And notice as I make this smaller, then it all of a sudden starts to develop a tone to that kick sound. And you can hear this happening in that Swedish House Mafia 1 where it's like a kick sound. And it like slowly winds up and turns into a lead. So that's essentially what it's doing in that song. And then for this sound Upside Down, I feel like the lead is kind of, maybe they used a kick sample and then did something like this where they just sped it up and just use a really short little section of that kick. So now when I do adjust the length of this loop, it does change the pitch. So I have the tuner on here and I'm going to hit my C key and then try to get this in tune to be an actual C. So let me zoom in a bit. All right, that's pretty close. It said -2, so let me go ahead and just raise this up to and play it. All right, so now we're exactly on pitch. Now I just have this cool like sound that I can use as a lead. So if I just play the melody from Upside Down, let me go ahead and raise that up though. Change the root to C2 instead of C3. And that's kind of like the basic sound to that Upside Down lead. And then you can add on like all of your effects. So that's how you could make it with a sample. And then you can use that for making like other cool leads or basses. So let me just show you how to basically make this in Serum. Now I do have Kickstart on here. I'm just going to leave this on. This is at about 77% for this Kickstart. So let me go ahead and initialize this preset. Now, one of the wavetables in Serum, if you go down to digital, it's called ICanHasKick. I don't know why it's called that, but that is essentially, this wavetable is essentially mimicking that using a kick sample looped really, really fast. So if I play this on my keyboard, you can hear that it sounds really similar to when I was using that kick sample. And by the way, guys, if you're enjoying this so far, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not yet subscribed. So then I'm gonna go ahead and lower this randomness because I'm just gonna use one voice of unison. And the randomness, you can lower this to make sure that every time you hit a note that it starts at the same point of this wavetable. So now let me go ahead and add on a noise. Let's go ahead and do a Aircan 1 noise. And I'll raise this to like 30%. And I'm going to set this wavetail position to, let's say, around there. And go ahead and put my voicing on a mono because we're making a lead sound. So I won't need to be playing multiple notes like chords. And then I'm going to shape up this envelope 1. So let's take down the sustain to maybe there. Give it some release. I think that sounds pretty good. And maybe I'll increase this release a tiny bit more. And I'll just take off a bit of that top end using a filter. I'll use the MG-Low 6 filter and assign my envelope 1 to this cutoff, hit Shift and Option. So the modulation is unipolar. Put this up to around 2 kilohertz. And I'm gonna lower this modulation. And let's go and raise up this drive. So we're getting pretty close. I think that's all I'm going to do for the wavetables and filters in the envelope. So let's go into my effects section. And I already created this sound, so I'm just going to load in this effect. So let's go ahead and first add on a compressor just to raise up that volume a bit more. And you can adjust your attack and release so you can get a bit more of a, almost like a pluck sound at the beginning. Because if you look at my envelope, you can see how I have it shaped to be kind of like have an initial pluck at the very, very initial beginning part of that sound. When you play it, it's going to be louder. So then I'll just add on a bit of distortion. I'll do the hard clip. It's relatively mild distortion. And then I'm going to add on a EQ to low cut it because we're using it as a lead, not a bass. Even though it's pretty bassy, I mean, you could honestly use this as a bass sound as well. And then I'll add on the hybrid dimension, just using the dimension. You could use something like a chorus to make it wider as well, but this is just good to kind of widen the sound a bit. So you can see I have my size and my mix around 30%. And then I hear a bit of a really slow delay that happens. Like after that melody plays, I hear it kind of delay out in the track. So then I just add on a half note delay, and then you can offset the left or right side so that the delay sounds a bit more stereo. Otherwise, it'll be like a mono delay. So there you can hear that delay sounds stereo if I just like reset that. Then you can hear the delay sounds mono. So I just click and I drag that up and then it makes it a stereo delay. And this is going to be the filters. So I'm just filtering off the low end and the top end and got that mix at about 30%. And then of course, got to add on a bit of hall reverb. So size and decay, let's see, around 40%, 5 seconds, mix at 30%. And I know that the melody, there's a bit more space between these two little sections, but I just kind of put them a bit closer together. Like in the actual song, I think this actually happens later on. And so that's the lead sound. Now, if you do want to use it as a bass, then I would just take off this low cut on the EQ. And I don't know if this is like becoming really popular in melodic techno lately, but I think this is just like a good sound to use if you're kind of making something like this Meduza style or this melodic techno style. I think like Anima, if you listen to any of his leads, they are probably also using like an ICanHasKick type of wavetable, or just using like a kick sample and then speeding it up like how I showed you how to do it in the sampler. If you do want to grab this preset, I'll put a link down below so you can grab it for free. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And also go ahead and leave a comment down below to let me know what other sounds you want me to make. And if you want to check out any of my Serum preset packs, I'll put links down below for those as well.